Hello, my name is Andrew Bunting, and I'm the Custom Care Manager for the Americas region for CDE. Welcome to today's episode of the Talking Tons podcast, where we're going to be focusing on CDE's relationship with our customer and partner, Freehaven Materials, based out of Long Island, New York. To my left, I've got Norman Kane with me, who is the head of Custom Care for CDE. And to my right, we have Tom Hayes, who is one of the partners here at Freehaven Materials. So we'll start off. Tom, do you want to give us a little bit of background on your journey with CDE so far, and what you guys are getting out of the plant, and what you aim to get out of it in the future?
Okay. We're in Long Island, New York, out in Suffolk County. We came up with the idea of getting a wash plant because we do a lot of construction, a lot of fill. So we were paying to dump the material, and we felt it's getting costly. In order to compete, we decided that we'd invest in a wash plant with our partners, and it's been working out well. Any surplus material we take out to the plant, and we get to reuse the materials. We get the sand, the gravel, the grit, the fine sand for masonry work, the oversized stone for drainage, and it's become very cost effective to have it, and the sustainability. Why waste all this material that we can reuse and get rid of it?
It's creating sort of a circular economy.
Circular economy, and the Long Island is a small area considering. I think it's 900 and something square miles of land in Suffolk County. There's only a few sand pits left, and we use the sand and put it back into the system is saving everybody, and it's a very sustainable situation for us, our construction company, and for the surrounding companies doing the work.
I was just going to ask that, Tom. Is it only your own material that you process through the plant, or do you bring in material from others?
No, we bring in type 1 and 2 material from other contractors and area, excavation projects. And it's working out well. That we haven't run into, knock on wood, a shortage of any material, as you'll see tomorrow on our site visit. But it's working out well for all of us, both companies involved, and we see a great future in this.
Yeah.
We see a great future.
Previous to the wash plant, were you guys trucking in material from other parts of the state, or was it all coming from Long Island itself?
No, we would bring in all the material from Long Island, except for, like if you had to bring in bluestone, all comes from up north. But now with the gravel and crushing the gravel, we can use a lot of that from down south here, the island. Yeah. So it's working out really well.
Yeah. So, as you've probably heard there, myself and Norman work heavily on the custom care side of the business here. So that's the aftercare for CDE. You're coming up on within the next couple of weeks now, the 1-year anniversary of your handover of your wash plant. I'm sure it flew in.
Yes.
Doesn't feel like a year, does it?
It's going pretty fast. It's rolling through pretty quick. And, we've had our challenges, with learning a new process and the plant itself, our staff, but it's working out well. When that thing's running, it's humming. It's doing a great job of doing, anywhere from 15 to 1900 tons a day through the plant, and
going it well above and beyond what was in the contract there for the throughput of the plant.
Yes, we're a 150 ton plant, and we're exceeding that. We're exceeding that with we have a good balance of material, sandy and gravelly mixing, and learning how to blend it so the plant doesn't get overloaded on one side or the other.
Yeah,
and that was a little bit of a challenge, but it's doing very well.
That's actually very good to hear, because a big challenge that we see, probably even from the custom care side, and we will talk on a bit about the support stuff, but customers even starting to understand the blending and balancing the material, that as good as the plants are at dealing with, and like they do, like been involved in this industry at home time, and I still get amazed, probably is the word, when you see the feed material going in and how we split it up. But it's understanding that the machine's tuned to work within set limits, and if the feed is outside of that, and like for somebody yourselves that are just relatively new learning what to talk about, that you are blending, you are looking at like the material. Like that's key to actually getting the plant performing well, and probably is maybe one of the reasons why that you are up there, like the upper limits of what it can do.
Yeah, we have found that we've taken in some finer sand material, but if you just load that into the plant, then it overloads the CFCU, and then that gets overloaded, and the other side is kind of sitting there. So we've learned that you have to blend the materials. If it's fine or if it's silty, you got to blend it in, blend it up, get a nice mix. The plant runs much smoother that way. You don't have to make adjustments. Once you get the plant balanced out with the type of material, you have to slowly adjust or blend the material going into the hopper. And we found that it makes us more productive. That's really a learning process. You have to go through the process. You have to teach your employees, this is what we have to do. You're just not going from the stockpile into the hopper. You have to look at the material, blend it properly, and put it in. It's an extra step, but it helps the overall process of the plant run more efficiently. And that's what we've learned over the last year.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Just even when you see throughout the last year, just the actual understanding of the plant and how that sort of transferred from the CDE and the custom care and the engineering teams there to yourself and the guys on site operating the plant. Because it does sometimes take that little bit of, as you say, the learning curve there
Yeah.
to fully appreciate everything that's going on there. And once you do appreciate that and understand that, then you can really drive up your efficiencies with what you're putting through the plant and what you're getting out of it in the end. And there's probably been a couple of things there where it's actually, I would say, it's a testament to some of the work CD and Freehaven have done together. So one thing that jumps out to me is the CD operator that you guys had for a 3 month stint there. That was September, October, November last year. So
Yeah.
really the
Yeah.
early days of the plant. That was Callum Monaghan was there. There must have been a lot of knowledge transferred during that time to sort of help you accelerate that learning process and understand what was going on there. And
That was invaluable because he was there as we were learning how to mix the material, different types of materials coming in, and he was showing them once you get the plant balanced, you got to blend it. What happens when you overload the one side? Dart valves come open, the water's going everywhere, the sumps are overfilling. So we had to overcome that, and having him there and showing everybody and showing our plant operator and the men on the ground what to look for and why certain things happen, and go back in the system and look where what's causing all this to overflow, or this to overflow this side, why is stone getting in here, and it was just an invaluable part to have him there. It was well worth it to have him for the 3 months and go through everything, and then help us to start breaking down for the winter.
Yeah.
Which as we know, it was a bit of a challenge.
Right.
Yeah.
That is probably something when we think of the Northeast region of the United States here that is reasonably unique. We obviously have a lot of plants in Scandinavia, Iceland, places like that, the Nordic countries where we do get the freeze over winter, but a lot of them plants are actually inside or they run a 24-hour system.
Yeah.
So the nature of Tom's plant here, where it is a completely outdoor plant, but it's also in a somewhat residential area. You guys don't have the luxury of being able to run 24 hours a day if you wanted to, do you?
No, we have to shut down.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it would be nice to run. We do. At times. Last year we ran about 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. Right now we're just running 6 days a week, 8 hours a day. So we'll see if as the season goes. If we need more stockpiles, we'll start running more hours to build up a stockpile before we go and winterize for the season. And this way we have product on the ground for the winter months.
It probably is something that's worth a looking at, just maybe getting towards the end of the season and before we get too far maybe into that, just to make sure that you guys are armed with a really good winterization plan for this year, and just taking a little bit of that learning. And yes, having Callum here and all that was really good, but we are aware of a few of the subsequent challenges, and maybe just taking and explaining to the crews sort of like them issues and the problems from last year, and making sure that we provide you guys with the help and support that you get through this winter 25 under 26, so you are in a position to hit the ground running. But suppose it's probably hard to put an exact figure on what having that 3-month period, but I know from experience and talking to yourselves and other customers that we've done this with that it is a way of fast tracking getting particularly new customers into washing up and going with not only the owning and the operating of the machine, but I think just the understanding. And it's maybe something, because I know from talking to Callum and part of my role of heading up the whole custom care thing globally, I've got the privilege of coming and meeting with people like yourself, but I also get to spend time with their teams and their people there. And I know Callum spent a fair bit of time helping you identify parts and work through your systems and stuff. And would you said that was also a benefit to have somebody there that's technically competent as well as just knowing and operating the plant, because his background's from a service engineering side. And like, would you said that there was a benefit in having that technical expertise there as well?
Absolutely. There's a lot to it. When we bought this plant, a lot of our partners and some of the staff that we hired were used to screening plants or crushing plants. This is a whole different ball game here. There's a lot of things that you have to look for going into it and adjust, whether your water intake, your spray bars, your screening decks, what type of screens, your conveyor speeds. There's a big process there that you have to take in, and Colin was right on top of it. Don't go too fast with the input speed because you're overloading the belts, and then you're getting too much material up top. We were getting a lot of bypassing the screens. It wasn't taking enough water. So there's a big process here that you have a learning curve that you have to go through, and having somebody there from CDE who runs these plants and puts them together was by far the biggest investment that we have made, for teaching our staff. And the parts, going and looking for parts, some stuff, we made adjustments with water in the sands, different screening decks, and having them there to show us, using the SmartTech part system, which is amazing. That program where you can go and you can cutaway belts and look at rollers, and you can order your parts. You can zoom into nuts, bolts, washers, gaskets. And when you click on a pump, you actually go in, and then it breaks down the whole pump through the manufacturer, whether it's Pimco's or
Pimos?
who's it?
The Pimo?
Yeah, Pimo pumps. So it was very interesting, and we use it. I used it Saturday. I was ordering parts and rollers, so it's very, because you learn to plant that way. You learn the ins and outs of the plant, and ordering parts is so easy. And we put together a list. They send it. They have any questions, Andrew or Ocean will be calling me and questioning, why do you need so many of this? Why do you need this? What's going on here? Why is this wearing out? So it's been a great experience. Really has. Working with CDE has been a great experience. Everybody we've dealt with has been amazing. So and very helpful. So look forward to the relationship.
No, here like that. That was brilliant to hear, because I suppose, prior to taking over the entire custom care operation for CDE, my primary function was heading up the global support area, but within that was the SmartTech side of it, so be that SmartTech parts, SmartTech performance or maintenance things, but to actually have somebody that's talking about how they use and interact with the parts side of it. And I suppose while we're talking about SmartTech, like the other real kind of pure baby of mine was the performance side. Like, I came to CD with the primary function of building that up, and having that ability to view and remotely monitor the plant. Like, how powerful do you see that, Tom, in terms of like your ability to sit here effectively like maybe an hour and a bit away from the site and understand how it's performing?
It's nice to be able to log in and see what their production is, where their peak performance was for the day, where it's going, if there was an issue, where what happened. It's very invaluable, and unfortunately, I probably don't use it enough. Um, sometimes there aren't enough hours in the day, so But while you're here, we're going to experience a little bit more, getting more in depth into that program. But it is another valuable tool that you guys have put forth for us to use, to monitor certain things, to look at, when dart valves are opening, when things are moving, how much production, how much filter cake is being processed. And I think, getting more involved in it and looking at it more often, I think will help us in the long run. Yes.
Yeah, certainly I did something that while I'm here, I'd be quite keen if I spend a little bit of time, because there's certainly on like the reporting side, there's a lot of real good information that we can maybe look at trying to get you guys quickly out of the system, like building Excel files, how we can link it maybe to other business systems that you have. And it's about building and using technology. Like maybe three key things that we have in terms of custom care are people, technology, and our customers, and how we work our people with our technology along with our customers to optimize your plant. Like the whole thing about it is that we want to provide you with the tools to make that plant operate to the, its maximum, and to, keep it not only at the uptime but getting the production out. And I suppose, Andrew, from yourself as the regional manager, like what challenges and what things do you see from us trying to support Tom, and the region?
I think from everything you've said there, the key word is efficiency, keeping the plant running as efficiently as possible, noticing whenever there is going to be a wear part or something like that and getting it on site as efficiently as possible. So for us, that's noticing that failure before it happens, and using SmartTech performance is a key way of doing that. So be it with temperature sensors, be it with vibration sensors, flow meters, everything like that, pressure sensors, we can monitor those, and we can monitor the trends, and we can set up alarms, be it go to CD or sales or yourself, whatever way you want to do it, to notify you when, okay, we're seeing a little bit of a pressure drop in the cyclone inlet here. Maybe we should break this pump open and look at the impeller, because we're not getting the pressure of the pump that we should be. So it allows us to be proactive rather than reactive, and that's a hell of a lot more way to be efficient.
And I think now that we've been running a year, even with the winter shutdown, now we just start comparing the operating and the efficiency and how the plant is acting in the beginning when we balance out the plant to now as we're running and we get all through all the bugs of the winter, and we're up and running, pretty efficiently right now. So I think it'll be great that, to look back at that 1 year data and say, okay, look, this is where we were, this is where we went, and this is where we're back to where we're supposed to be. And I think that'll be important to look at all this data.
Yeah, and
after a year,
building that benchmark, building that reference, because we can put things into the tool so it could track and it can monitor. But like everything, it's like the speedometer in your car, you have to have a reference. So it's got a dial that's graduated, so you know what speed you're doing. So then we can work out, are you performing well or not? So certainly very, very keen to see how we can progress. But first and foremost, very happy to hear the amount that you're using.
Just the experience the CD have with filter presses there, and the guys you've had on site, be it Callum or Mark. Mark did a lot of fine tuning with that press. We'll actually maybe talk about Mark a little bit here, because I know he's your surrogate.
Right. Yeah. Well, Mark was here during the build out of plant, and he was amazing. He was a little running around getting all the technical information we needed to start assembling stuff. We had 3 crews putting this plant together, and he was a little overwhelmed because he says, usually when I put a plant together, I get 1 crew and that's it. Well, we had 3 crews going everywhere. We were building everything and anything that came in on the shipping containers, and he was keeping up with us. He was running around getting the information, traveling from one crew to the next, making sure everything was being built properly. We were checking everything. He was amazing. I mean, he's a real asset to CDE, because not only was, helping build the plant, but also a big advocate of CDE and how, we get the support he needed. He'd send an email the next morning, we'd have an answer, or he'd be calling up somebody in the middle of the night and say, hey, I need this right away. And it worked out really well for us.
And I think the important thing as well, Tom, is you obviously had that fantastic experience with Mark when the plant was being installed, but he hasn't gone away. He's still there as a reference point for you guys as you need him. You know, you can call him up, speak to him. He's definitely been down and seen the plant running 3 or 4 times now. He spent the
Yes, he was here for opening day, for the open house, I should say.
And I suppose it's something that we try. Like Mark ultimately is part of the wider custom care team, but just with the install load and the work that we've going on, it shows kind of that, going to say within region, but globally we work very, very closely together as a business within CDE. Like, yes, we're into departments that you've the sales and the project delivery team, and we come in at the end, but the project guys are never fully out of the plant as well, because at the end of the day, they've invested so much time, so that so like I think you mentioned earlier, kind of getting up in the morning, getting on the phone to Connor, like there's always that connection, and we try and never really take it away, as much as it's Andrew and it's Custom Care's responsibility once the plant's installed, commissioned and running, but because that knowledge resides all within the business, and we share it and we learn, and we try and learn internally, and we learn from the likes of yourselves as well. And I suppose, like you touched on there a little bit about like the flow, and learning the process. Even to hear somebody again back to that's a year in and has got to grips with that and is understanding the impact of that, I think it shows the effort that we've put in to support yourselves, but more it kind of shows that you guys have put the effort in to learn.
Oh, absolutely.
And absorb that information that's being, and there's a lot of information that does get put to people, and particularly that first 2 or 3 weeks after a plant's running,
it can be overwhelming to begin with.
It can be, and from the time we made the deposit with Joe Teal and Darren Eastwood, gave them the deposit, signed a contract. It wasn't that long after that we were introduced to Connor, and then went through the whole build process with Connor. Then Connor, as we got to the end, handed us off to Andrew and Shay Davis and the other support people out here in the States. And it's been like a partnership. It's more of a partnership with CDE than us just being a customer. We're all part of it. I've made a lot of good friends. They're always there to answer questions. If they don't have the answers, they call somebody that has the answer, or have them call us back with electrical problems or anything that came up with the plant. But it's been an amazing journey so far, and we're very happy with CDE. We're happy with the customer support from Texas. Andrew's a little tough to get a hold of because he flies all over the North America here. Actually, you did hit Barbados, I think, and Hawaii. So I guess your staff in Texas is a little jealous of that, but
we might just cut that out because we don't want this. Yeah, we don't want this sounding like a travel program. If anybody's seen my travel itinerary, but no, and I can't speak kind of highly enough either of the team that we have here. And see, just at the start of this year, we did a little bit of restructuring. We moved Andrew up to head up like the entire team here in North America. We brought a little bit more staff out towards the end of last year, and it's all about putting the people out here to help and support the plants, keep everything as best as we can going. I suppose probably the biggest thing that we do after we've done the training and done all the stuff with Callum and that is making sure that you get the parts and stuff as and when you need them. And I suppose that comes down to two main things. It's the part stock and both what we can do as a business, but what you guys do here in terms of your actual stock holding on site. And maybe that's something that maybe asked the both of you to a wee bit of a chat just around that over the last 12 months, how we've gone about supporting Tom. And
something you and I have been working on over the past few weeks since, gosh, what's it been, about a month since I was last up here, maybe a little longer?
Yep. I'm going to do a big order on, spares.
Yeah.
That we see. It's like our first year, so now we're getting into what we think we need and what has failed. Worn out, because we have been putting some very coarse sand through the plant, and I think some parts were wearing out a little faster than others because it was so coarse.
Yeah.
So, we're learning as we go. And, it's, also trying to pay the bills, keep it operating, pay the bills. And, we'll start, ordering up maybe just to get a container of spare parts and just bring here. And we'll have stuff here on,
Standby.
I just think logistically, though, CDE has to look into, even if it's in Texas, at least it's in state, and you could get it here overnight. You could FedEx it or, overnight. But, coming through Northern Ireland to the States and go to customs is been a little bit of a challenge for
Definitely. And this is something I've been feeding back to the guys in the headquarters, and it's something where we're still refining the process of it. It's not 100% of the way there yet, but we're on the path to it. And is sort of having that, once again, I'm going to use the word proactive, looking at the new plants that are being installed in country and making sure that, you get a copy of that list of the recommended spare parts, but also we're taking an active look at that list and making sure we have those parts in stock in country. That's critical to me. And I know you guys are taking on the burden of ordering up, as you were saying there, probably a container of spare parts to have on site. Regardless, that's always a good idea, because even if you're overnighting something, if you have it there already, you're saving yourself a couple of hours, and sometimes a couple of hours of plant up time is
absolutely. I think with that filter press motor, we're down a week.
Yeah, and I suppose for me, a couple of things I'd like to look at there. One, if you're saying that you're starting to note the things that are wearing, but we could even compare that against the data and the information that we're holding, because ideally we want to use the technology and the stuff that we'll have. That a bit of a vision for mine is that if the part's not on site, that the system detects that it's about to fail, and it either triggers the guy so we know automatically that it needs to come. So maybe looking and understanding that. Probably something that we can talk about, that we are expanding our warehouse capacity in Cleburne.
Okay.
So we are putting more square footage in there to give us that better
increased by over 50%. So
and country stock holding, and and that's only the start of it, because with the yourselves and the other customers, it's key that we put that here. But for the critical parts, there is nothing beats. And that's from me, even going back to my very early days and looking after and supporting production machinery. Even some of the stuff was built 3 miles up the road. There's still absolutely nothing beats going and picking what you need off your shelf.
Right.
And, we want to work with you and build that and build a realistic list of what you want to hold. And then we get the supply chain right, which is right through from our suppliers and the HQ, from HQ to Cleburne, and from Cleburne to yourselves, and making sure that somewhere along that chain we've the bits that you need. So when you go and take that motor off the shelf, or that screen media, whatever it is, that we've got the parts in the right place to replenish that within the time that you need it. And that's really information, and using the SmartTech parts and tracking the ordering and just building that model is very, very important.
Essentially trying to become data driven.
Yeah.
Use as much data as possible, historical data. And as we've already sort of alluded to, we have a year's worth of data on the plant now.
Right. Now's the time to analyze it. Start looking at it.
Suppose Andrew touched on it earlier. We've that the plants can be quite different from customer to customer, and the way that certain regions look after. But the one thing I would like to make sure that we do have for yourselves before you get into the winter, and again back to we kind of touched on it earlier, is making sure that you do have a good winterization plan.
Yeah.
So that your team, and indeed our team, and if you need our support to come and do it again, we'd be more than willing to put somebody up to come and do that, to make sure that the plant is winterized properly. And I know it's a challenge, because some people do like to try and work through and stray through, and
you want to try to push it for revenue. You want to, it's not going to be that cold. And we had learned in 4 days it was cold enough to do some damage.
So we'll give this to little, but we'll keep alluding to this here, but we'll give the full context here, where probably we were looking at December last year. We had the engineer on site, tried to do the winterization process there, but ultimately you guys seen an opportunity there to run a little bit longer. Maybe
we held up for that week of Christmas, and the temperatures, they said, it's so bad. But in 4 days, it was bad enough where the organics, going up to the filter press, froze right away.
It's actually something that can probably be included in SmartTech prevention.
It can be frustrating because I know from being with other customers in this region and different kind of similar weather conditions where they've gone, like with winter ice we're down, but we're looking out going we could run today.
Yeah.
But you could run today, tomorrow. But I think the one thing that you've learned, and it's a bit of a harsh lesson, but like the power of water and the power of frozen water, it's
Yeah,
incredible.
behind those little bulb valves, all you need is a little drop of water
Yeah.
that freezes, it just cracks the valve.
It expands, bang, like off and goes, and it's a bit kind of just, yeah, and that's sort of part of the learning, but it's also part of the reason why I'm here, why Andrew's here, and we're, kind of regularly try and get around the customers, and we sit down and we spend these type of discussions again. Like the unique thing today, we're recording it in the form of a vodcast or podcast, but I think this is a quite common type of conversation that we'll have, and trying to sort of expand and understand, and not only doing it in like the setting here of like your business headquarters, but more importantly tomorrow we'll get to the plant, we'll get boots on the ground, like we'll get a walk around, we can feed the information, and if there's things that we see and we need a bit more engineering time on site, the next time that some of the guys in the area, indeed we can send somebody up to have a look. And I suppose to maybe start sort of closing this out, because it's been a brilliant conversation. I could sit here and talk to you all day, Tommy, because you are such a, like, you're a great advocate of CDE, you're a great advocate of what washing can do. Even for me to have met you kind of 2 or 3 times now, but to sort of had to start to hear and understand the reason why you've got into washing, a little bit linked to that circular economy type thing. Why are we bringing in material? Why are we dumping material that we could actually reuse? And it's maybe not something you want to hear being in the business, but for me, it's something I'd love more people to take that on and understand, like, the benefits of putting in any form of recycling plant, be it a wash plant, be it something that's more towards commercial waste, but anything that is helping to, build a more sustainable environment, a more sustainable business, because, we've only got so much sand and other resources in the ground that we can take out, and to be involved in a business and with people that are at the sort of forefront of doing that, it's a nice thing to be doing, for want of a better word, and all that we can do to kind of help you guys along. And I suppose maybe what's the next 12 to 18 months look like for the relationship between CD and Freehaven?
Yeah, I mean, Long Island, you have 2 or 3 sand pits. Another one that's probably going to be dug. So let's say you have another 10 to 15 years that you could be able to keep mining sand. And I don't even know if it's going to be that long. You have to start recycling now. You have to start thinking about the future now. And it's a great way to go. Right now, there's a couple of them on the island. And do we compete? I guess a little bit here and there, but everybody has to do their thing to be competitive and to keep their main businesses going, and their keep the materials. I mean, you have to keep the material costs down, and by recycling, it helps everybody. It helps everybody, from landscaping to concrete plants to the drainage crews to the masonry, it just goes on and on. So it's the right thing to do. Even the filter cake, making topsoil or lining ponds. It's there's another use for this material that we're finding out. I mean, we're having to really look for it, and now that we're building a customer base, it's starting to get much easier. Our plant manager JDA is out there, hustling and trying to push with some sales guys. Chris Lawburn is the plant operator, so they're all doing their part, and it's important. It's a team effort. It's a team effort with everybody, and it's the future. It's the future. I just wish I had more property. I would have built a bigger one.
Yeah. I sort of think in conclusion there, we're all in agreement. It's a fact. Sand's a finite resource, and Long Island there's very few places where that is as evident as it is here, just with the nature of, we're that close to New York, but we're also New York City, that is, but we're also kind of remote. And like, I think you're a figurehead at the minute of this new construction industry where we're bringing in the likes of recycling, and it is creating a more sustainable America and more sustainable New York. And it is, you're the figurehead of a revolutionary new thing, and it's something to be very proud of and something to be very excited about, and I'm certainly excited to be a part of it.
It's very exciting to be a part of it, and it's exciting, that we get to build this plant, and we've done our best to make it sustainable. We recapture all the water around the plant and reuse it, so we're not wasting bringing in city water all the time. So we're doing our part, and it's working out for our construction businesses.
And I think we can probably mention at this stage that work on the plant isn't over yet. We're putting in a new bit of plant machinery in there in the near future.
Yes, we've contracted with CDE to put in a hydro tip.
That's good. Yeah,
we built the infrastructure, so now it's just a matter of getting the
once again, you were proactive.
the new one with the cyclone built on it, and so that should be due here. I think December is the latest, and we have room for a few of them there. So we're gonna expand this venture, and we look forward to it. And that's another, we'll be hopefully water positive, and another thing we'll have to deal with winter.
Yeah, and I suppose that might be worth adding, that the piece of kit that they're looking at adding in will allow for bringing in wet excavation, hydrovac type waste and stuff.
Yeah, Long Island, they're doing a lot of directional drilling. There's a lot of jobs out now, sewer jobs that have been. Most of Long Island was old cesspools where it just drains into a cesspool and the organics decompose, or you get them sucked out. But now they're putting in these sewer systems, and they're directional drilling them. So you're getting the bentonite drilling mud, plus it's pulling back because most of Long Island's sand. So they're looking for places that are approved to dump it. So we thought it would, made some calls, talked to some people, and the market is there. So we've decided we're going to go that route. And we'll give them an approved DEC facility to dump at, and we'll process the material. And we will not take catch basin material, though. Stuff out of catch basins off the roadways that could be potentially contaminated and gets into some real, questionable materials in there. We don't want to get it. We don't want to go down that road. We have a competitor that does that. We're not looking to bump heads on that side of the business. So. But we look forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's good.
Give us something to do over the winter building this.
Yeah. Mark busy.
Yeah, Mark's going to. Darren promised me that we'd get Mark back, and
no, we'll make sure that Mark.
And I got Connor. Connor already started the calls, so we get the band back together, and maybe Jazzy to do all the wiring.
You know what it is? It's wonderful to actually see you just sort of name drop a couple of my colleagues in CD and do it with a big grin on your face, because I know how great those guys are, and I love that it's actually, they show that with the work they do with yourself and other.
Yeah, we touch each other once in a while, see how everybody's doing, and they're in town, And going back to when we were designing the plant, Ben White, I think it was the engine Ben Winter. He was fudging in when we said, "Oh, maybe we need to build the hydro tip pit." And he was the one that coming up with the idea, let's pump everything out and, move some things around. And, we worked together, and it came out great. I mean, really. And, the infrastructure's there, so we don't have to get through that process again. That's already done. So it's going to be exciting. We'll start off next March with both operations going.
And I suppose from us, Andrew, from a CustomCare standpoint, if we are looking at parts and containerized parts and stuff, let's not forget about that element as well. If there's a few parts coming, there may well be a lot of crossover from your existing Evo washes and stuff, but it's worth just kind of taking cognizance of that. But
you'll have to add that to our SmartTech parts system, right?
Already probably available, and we can just at the click of a button it will be there for you. But look, I think in closing, all I can say, Tom, is thanks for your for today, but just I think on behalf of CDE, very much thanks for your positive attitude, your willingness to work with us as a business, but you're very much your willingness in the way that you built those relationships with the guys that you've mentioned. And for me, going forward, is very key that we keep the relationship with yourself and Andrew going. And and we will, as we build the team, there may be more people that come and get introduced to yourself, but it's all about being here to do the right thing. And I don't know, Andrew, if you want to say a couple of closing words, and then we'll let Tom finish with.
Yeah, all I want to say, Thomas, thank you. It's a privilege getting to work with you. I learned plenty from you. CD has learned plenty from you, and it's exciting. It's a really good partnership, as you said. It's not salesman and customer here. It's just partnership, and what we're trying to do is make sure that plant runs as efficiently as possible. I already said there, look, you're a figurehead in this new type of construction industry by bringing in the recycling, and it was a brave thing to do, to be at the forefront of it. But I think that's paying off dividends for you now, and I think we can all learn from that.
Yeah. Well, myself and my partners, we saw that it was a adventure that we was definitely the future of our industry, and in order to stay competitive, it's something we had no choice but to invest in, or else we were, like I said, paying to dump materials. But the partnership between us and CDE, Freehaven CDE, and your staff, your employees, from the engineering point of view, from customer care, from project management to on-site support, has just been phenomenal. It really has. And like you said before, I can pick up the phone and call Mark, Jazzy, Column, and they'll pick up the phone and show them a picture of it. And they'll get back to me one way or another, or somebody will, and I think that's important, for the partnership, and that's why we're going to go forward with upgrading some more stuff. So we look forward to it.